I'm trying to make my own dreams and promises come true.
Amen.
Well, thank you so much for calling, Lee, and listening to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, Josh, listen, there are definitely people every day who goes on about their business, struggling, knowing victory and defeat, succeeding, taking care of their families, educating their children, going to church on Sunday, making society and the people around them better, raising their children, disciplining their children, creating jobs. I mean, why isn't that we don't focus on that enough? Why do we sometimes have to focus on that which struggles and doesn't always represent the best of American society?
That's a good question, and I think what I see is more and more that when we try to limit individual and, for that matter, corporate, but mainly individual risk through politics or through government, we are in turn limiting the reward, the potential reward. When you limit risk, you limit reward, and when you have unlimited risk, you have unlimited reward. That's another one of these laws of nature, and I think that it's easier in that construct for people to focus on the downtrodden and say, see, we need to limit these people's risk. And, that's the way, like I said, that's the way people get in political office or move up, the ladder in any number of professions. And it's just, I think psychologically it's easier at this point to go that route and focus on that negativity and stuff when what we ought to be doing is saying, look at all these successes. We need to stop trying to limit their risk for them and let them run. Maybe they'll, take off and do something great.
Bernard, you're on with Josh. Thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Gentlemen, how y'all doing today?
Good, sir.
How you doing, young man?
Excellent.
Excellent.
All right. Look at him. Back here when during the primary and all that stuff leading up to the actual election, people were talking about making an informed decision. That was good. That was true. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Armstrong, and your guest. I was one black man that was proud to say I'm voting for him because he's black. Because I've been voting since I've been 18 and I'm 45. And I ain't never had no president get up out the bed for me and clock in to get me to where I'm at in life.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just people need to get up off the butt and start thinking about themselves and govern their own lives and let the government do what it do and just chastise them when they're supposed to, when it comes election time. That's all. That's why I say, it was a thing as far as making an informed decision. But I had one fella, he was a Republican, I guess. I asked him about who he was voting for. Well, I mentioned Barack to him. Man, Barack, he was going on about taking something out of his pocket and giving it to somebody else. Here he is, 52 years old. I said, you've been voting all your life? He said, yeah. I said, has any other president, what has any president done since you've been voting to make your life better? None of them. So what you got a problem with Barack for? They just want, people won't get up off the question. They want sympathy, sorrow, and make stupid decisions they don't learn from, and they do the same thing over and over again. And just, and then when they make bad decisions, husbands and wives got kids coming up behind them, everybody's suffering. The foolishness needs to stop. And this country is shaped like a chicken. If you look at the shape of the United States of America, and the chicken is shedding its feathers. That's what this thing is about. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I like that, Bernard. I like that.
That's right.
I do too.
Yeah, gentlemen, have a beautiful day.
Bernard, thank you for calling. 733-5620. Yeah, why is it that people feel they just have to wait around, not get out of bed, not work, not to show any initiative, and somebody's going to come along, whether it's the government, somebody in the community, and just save them? It doesn't work that way. Josh and I having this discussion. I want you to join us at 733-5620. The other callers have just been exceptional and superb. It's about taking responsibility and being accountable and being an example for your children and your community. We'll be back with much more on the Armstrong Williams Show.
Now, the Armstrong-Williams Show continues. If phone lines are busy or you are listening to a delayed broadcast of today's program in your city, you can always contact Armstrong via email to info@armstrongwilliams.com. Once again, here's your host, Armstrong Williams.
Welcome back to Josh Bernard. Samuel, thank you for your patience. What's on your mind, sir?
I have some questions. My first question is this. If the government had not bailed out the financial institution with billion, what would have happened to the economy? Then the second one is this, concerning the bailout of the auto industries. If, for instance, if they don't bail them out too, so many people are gonna lose their job. And I don't support the bailing out of the auto industry because they are not doing what they're supposed to do. The competitors are doing better than them. And like, for instance, if this one are not indigenous that came over to America, like Nissan and Toyota, if having problem of financial problem, would the American government also bail them out? Because they're having a lot of Americans employed in their companies. So that's my question. I will hang up and listen to you on the radio. Thank you.
Thank you, Samuel. Josh?
Well, I would say, first of all, and I think we've kind of had a question like this before on the show, as far as what would happen to the economy if, it hadn't pumped all that money into the big hole that the investment banks dug. I think if anyone tells you they know exactly what would have happened, they're lying. There's no way to know. But I can tell you in general what would have happened is there would have been, little, if any, credit coming from the level 1 and 2 banks. There would have been a scramble on the parts of many institutions that did have a lot of money on hand to jump through the hoops necessary to become level 1 and 2 banks and start operating in the commercial paper arena, and they would have filled in the gaps for the day-to-day, commercial debt that big companies need to produce their wares and ship them to you, like the Walmarts and the Best Buys. There would have been a scramble to fill in that credit gap by those that have money, and I think there would have been a lot of regulation and stuff lifted, and a lot of red tape that the banks have put up to stop competition would have been ripped down, because everyone would have realized, hey, we need this liquidity, and these people have money and the banks don't. And so all of the barriers that have been put up by these level 1 institutions would have been torn down very quickly. And, yes, we would have entered into recession, possibly depression, who knows. But guess what? We're doing that anyways. The only difference is now we've created a whole bunch more money, which is what got us here. And now we're deferring this longer, just like FDR did. We should have been out of the so-called Great Depression in 24, 36 months. Instead, we rode it into the ground for 14 years and waited for a war and the military-industrial complex to bail us out. And you know what? History, crazily enough, looks at FDR as a hero for it, and the Great Society and this and that. And it's like, in this situation, I'd be lying to you if I said this is exactly what would happen. But one thing that I do know is that it would have been a lot easier to stomach for the American people. It would have been much more difficult for, the member banks of the Federal Reserve, like the Goldman Sachs and, the Bank of America and J.P. Morgan Chases. But for us as individuals and for our economy, would have been a much better situation in the long run. Now, I don't know that I fully understood the second question. Armstrong, did you catch any of that?
I caught what you caught, Josh.
Okay, well, I just got the first half of that, and I apologize that I wasn't tracking on the second half of the question.
733-5620. What experience would you share with people, whether they have little money, okay money, comfortable money, money they can never spend, and what they should do in terms of maximizing what the fallout may be from this economy collapse to make sure they save or have something on a rainy day? How can they maximize it? What would you suggest?
Well, the same things, that I've been preaching. Obviously, I do like things of real value, and as opposed to paper money. I think, just keep in mind that cash is trash because it can be created through fiat out of thin air, so it doesn't have the value. It's just a psychological value that changes when the market realizes that there's more of it out there. So what you need to do, if you have some money, is get it into something that will either outpace the rate of inflation, if it's an equity or something like that. And I'm not completely against equities. In fact, today we did some buying in GE and Wells Fargo and some and ConocoPhillips actually.